Today, we talk about...
So we're back. Episode, still don't know. We are way behind in the edits again because I just booked a fuck ton of you guys.
Oh, yeah.
But we got another special guest.
What's
Introduce
up?
yourself, my man.
Usama Siddiquee, a.k.a. Ad Usama been laughing. All right.
Dope.
Glad to be here. Sadra's a good boy, good dude. I'm glad I met him.
Yeah, so...
we both ex-doctors out here.
yeah, we're going to get to that in a second.
Yeah.
How I usually like to start this is giving us your comedy come-up. Like when you started, how you started, inspirations, all that kind of...
Yeah, man. I was in the med school track like you, bro. So you did just classic, right?
I did the thing.
Did the whole thing, right? Good
But
boy.
I got in out of high school, so I did like an accelerated...
Right.
program where I got into med school out of high school, so like shit was set.
I know that shit. You were like a high performing kid, right? But like just
autistic, yeah.
Yeah. Implied, bro. I already know. So I was the same way because like just passively good at school. You know, I never really studied that much. I just kind of was good at it. And my dad was like, "You're gonna be a doctor," and I was like, "Fucking fine." I didn't give a fuck. I was playing games all my life. Lived very passively. Got into med school. The day I did MCAT, they got out of because MCAT was crazy for me. I don't know if it was for you, but it took a lot of energy.
Luckily, because of that program, I never even had to touch it.
Oh, dude! I think I snagged a 34 on the MCAT, and it was like the hardest thing I ever got in my life. And the day after I took it, I was like, okay, I did this thing for my parents. I did this thing.
By the way, a bunch of these kids are going to be hitting you up after. It's like, yo, what do I...
Right? These Brown fans. Oh, my God, dude. Yeah, man. I got that the day after. I was like, okay, what do I do for me? I did this thing for my mom and my dad. So now let me see what I want to do for myself. And comedy was like this weird idea. I love laughing. I love comedy. I was like all about it. But it was like comedy. Before you start it seems like an impregnable thing.
Yes,
right. You're
exactly.
like, how could you even do that? You just are that, right?
I thought it was just like a blessing bestowed on.
You wake up one day and then Red Fox comes from the grave. And he's like, "You're funny, bitch." You know? Then you become a comic. No, dude. So like, I was like, I kind of nursed this idea in the back. Like, what if I just wanted it?
Disobeyed my parents.
Yeah. But even thinking it is like the Indian parents are like thought police. You know what I'm saying? Like just thinking of it is a crime. So one day I'm telling my friend Nimesh, not Nimesh Patel. There's a friend I have. His name is Nimesh Patel, who's not the comic. He's just a guy I don't know.
We believe him.
Yeah. so my friend Nimesh, I was like, yo, I want to do comedy, and he's like, as a throwaway thing, and he was like, dude, I did comedy before, and it blew my fuck. What do you mean did comedy?
We get it, Nimesh Patel.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
I know, right? But
it turns out it was Nimesh the whole time.
But it's hilarious that that's my get. That's as far as I can go. Is Nimesh Patel? My name drop is Nimesh Patel. I can't do better than even my fake fantasy is a comic who's not big. Okay, great.
So I know, I've watched all your podcast stuff, which guys, you should check it out if you're mentally struggling brown person, but I feel like that's kind of disrespectful. It's a great. Well, why don't you sell it for us?
What do you mean, like in terms of like
what you get out of it?
Oh, like like the mind of the journey.
Yeah.
It's weird, man, because once you really follow something heavily, right, like intensely, it can be draining spiritually, or it can be the best thing that's ever happened to you, right? But it all depends on how you look at it, right? So when you follow a dream, people think you follow the dream and everything's good after that, right? Like I found comedy. Oh, your life must be just great after that. The real hardship starts when you follow the dream, because now you actually found something in life you care about, and now your actual life it like clicks on. It's like you live in black and white, and then you found your purpose, and then shit becomes color. But you still gotta fucking find the programming for the color TV. You still gotta find, the actors. You still gotta find. So
still gotta deal with the shit colors.
Bam, dude, bam. Because sometimes you still gotta hit the TV like that. So that hardship starts really, and you actually care about the hardship. Before, when I was living passively, if I didn't have something in my life, I didn't give a fuck because I was just, who cares?
Right.
But comedy, I found something I actually care about. So now, every day I do badly is a day my mind has the precarious element of hating itself. But the way I got out of that was listening to like WTF, like their come up and how they would bomb all the time. I'm like, oh, I'm bombing, they're bombing. This has got to be a normal thing. And then this one guy named Kyle Cease, I heard him, and he was like, don't look at comedy like an acquisition. Look at it like a way, like the being. Like the doing of it is more important than the actual getting of anything. So when people have a good set of any kind, it could be a comedy or painting, if they do a good thing, they'll feel good. If they do a bad thing, they'll feel bad. That sign graph I don't like. That every up has it down. We have to train ourselves as Americans. I think America loves acquisition. It loves feeling happy when it gets things. So you have to undo yourself from that idea. And the idea is, even if on a good set, you bring it back down to the center. On a bad set, you bring it back up to the center. Anything that's good, it was good because of fundamentals and technique. So you always put yourself back in that space of the cogs and the gears. So that was a good set, why? That was a bad set, why? So now you distance yourself from any sort of emotional energy between good and bad, and you kind of ride this sort of serenity. That's the only way I think you can do comedy for 10 years. I really think.
That's a cool concept, because when I've talked to other artists on here, like poetry writers I've had on here, and they actually describe it very differently. They say,
really?
I need the sine wave because I need to feel those things to be able to do it. Maybe he's more of a rookie than you. I don't know. But,
that guy quit probably. Went back to his dad's corporate office, I'm sure. Now, here's the thing. I think that's wrong because that allows your mental illness to kind of propagate and exacerbate. I think if you're engaged in something, because art requires both elements, the mind and the heart, right? So you feel and you blurt, but then you refine with the mind. So it's a constant flux. So both those things have to be pure or getting better if you want to get better at something, both the mind and the heart. And I think if you just look at the heart, you'll be this sort of like Charlie Parker-esque candle that burns at 9 ends, you know? And then the fuel's cheaper. But if you go from a place where you think and then react and then think big and have a flux, like everything I do, I think about what I do, but also I allow the doing to be spontaneous. So when you stay spontaneous in the present, truly in the present, you have that emotion, but you're not tied to it.
Right.
You're just present in the moment. So you are flowing with the vibe, but you don't actually get tied to the results of the emotion.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. Most people get the emotion, then if the results aren't what they want, then the emotion stays.
Yeah.
Divide yourself at the end of that. So you have the emotion, spontaneous, living, breathing, presently as possible on stage or whatever you're doing. Then you release yourself.
Right. I think that's hard to do, though, especially with a lot of novice comics.
Oh, for sure.
And, you know, I'm still a novice comic, but I've come to that conclusion.
Simon does this thing where he like goes into a whisper hand motion and then says the thing exactly the same volume. It's like what's with the whisper with the same volume?
I thought this was improv. But, no, I really came to that conclusion by myself. Right. Also, but that's why whenever anyone asks me, "Hey, you try to do this full time and quit being a doctor?" I'm like, "No."
Yeah.
Because being the doctor thing is what has allowed me to separate myself the way you're describing. So anytime I have a bad set, I'm just like, all right, what's the worst that can happen? I can go back to saving lives.
Yeah.
So
right.
And anytime, even on social media or YouTube, anything I post that people don't react to well or as well as I'd like to, which is subjective as far,
of course,
doesn't faze me.
Right.
I don't even look at the views anymore. I'm just like, all right, I'll sometimes backlog and be like, oh shit, this got like 500 likes.
Right.
But that's exactly what you're talking about, I think, which is separating yourself from it and just keep moving. And that's why I don't think I could ever leave medicine, because it offers me this literal good, or I don't want to say good, but it's kind of nice knowing, or I should describe it like this, anytime you talk to a pure artist, like someone who does nothing but their art, whether it's acting, music, whatever, and then someone says a negative comment and then they lose their shit and they get depressed.
And these are like kind of like established people.
Yes, and you're like, what is wrong with you?
I lose respect for those kind of people.
But I don't, and I'll tell you why. Because if your entire life, similar to you, is comedy or whatever your thing is, and someone challenges it even once, you have to all of a sudden be like, holy shit, this is something creative, subjective. Am I really worth all this bullshit? Right. Whereas with my medicine, I could always go back to, dude, fucking save lives, bitch. Right. Say whatever the shit you want.
Right. I cleaned someone's asshole. So yeah, take that, Dan Soder.
You know what I mean? So it's just like, that's been my way of separating, but you have a very healthy approach to it.
I think, and I'll add one thing to your, how you don't look at your own views. I like that. I think as you evolve as well, I would assume, and it might not be your path, but the idea of like being able to see the views, actually coming face to face with the number and being like, I don't give a fuck. Like, so the idea of, that's where you're at, right? Yeah. The idea of like assessing the results. So having someone be like, yo, this is terrible, you know, if you're bombing a joke into someone's eyes, like you're bombing in the front, this guy is looking at you like, no. And if you can still keep your essence and keep your spirit, that's true power. That's true power of self.
Takes a lot of practice.
I think that's what I'm trying to go towards, is the power of self, is the idea of being as authentic as possible, giving what I have, and then understanding that's enough. And even if it's not enough, I'm just going to keep getting better.
Yep.
That's the idea, is like, no matter what subjectivity you're on, I'm going to keep growing. So that model of growth is going to be staying in me.
Yeah.
So by the time you hate on me the next week, I'm already past where you think I was.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's irrelevant.
Yeah.
Like when the haters come at you, it's like Doppler effect. Eventually the hate becomes like softer and softer because you're just like past the hate now, where they thought you were.
But you know why I think you're able to do that is because you clearly, so for those that don't know, and we can't get into all the details because we're on limited time, but definitely check out his podcast where he goes into a lot of the stuff about how you got into medical school, you ended up not going, pursuing the comedy thing full time. That's why I live here and he doesn't.
No, I live here now. I live here, bro.
I gave him the keys. But yeah, I mean, that's, I say all that to say, like, I can definitely, the way you're talking and thinking is very similar to how I've started to process this, and I'm only 6 months in.
Right.
So it's like, it's not a purely doctor thing, but I feel like someone who's capable of getting one of these advanced degrees, not that a lot of people aren't, but I'm just saying clearly you did, you got in, but you just didn't pursue it. Right. I can see your doctor type algorithm thinking.
Oh, yeah.
Which is kind of cool to see from someone who didn't do it. And now I'm like behind you, even though I'm older than you and a doctor. So it's like, it's funny when I hear you talk or approaching things, I'm like, oh, I see.
I'm a very rational guy.
Yeah.
I'm a very rational guy. It's like, but like, my comedy has been the journey of me reacquainting myself with the kid, right? So Picasso had that one quote about like, it takes 40 years to learn how to paint like a kid again. That's what art is. When you start your artistic journey, you're actually a very diluted version of yourself because the world has got to you, right? Art is returning back to that person.
Without giving a shit.
Yeah. But you're also smart. So like you keep that, you retain that mental acuity, hopefully, that you've grown over years. But that reacquainting with the kid, that's important. That's really what the best art is. Pure presence.
It's funny you say that. I've started to actually notice I'm getting there.
Yeah.
Like I'm noticing bringing because this was my whole thing, man. Like YouTube is the whole reason I even had the confidence to pursue stand-up in the first place. Because let alone like small talk with restaurant waiters or people on the street. Because before that in school, whatever my luck of the draw was between the kids at school, my entire family, or my entire group of friends that I ended up surrounding myself with, no one understood me, right? The classic tale.
Because you're speaking Farsi, dude. You gotta stop speaking Farsi with your white friends.
Well, no, to be more specific, I would take little, remember the Army National Guard campaign back in the 90s?
Yeah.
I would like find Army flyers and I would tear it to the point of the flyer poster model's mouth and I would like voice the
I like that shit.
You know? So I can do it now because I realize, they beat the shit out of me then.
Yeah.
And that told me that was negative feedback. But now coming back to and be like, you know what? I'm all right. Like,
you know why I was thinking all right? Is because you have built something that isn't comedy, right? So you actually, before you even started comedy, you have achieved something. So you have that self-love that comes from achieving something. So you have a good bedrock, good foundation.
Yeah.
You've actually excelled in one area. So getting good at something.
Good at something, not medicine, by the way, not math science, which is very important because prior to that, I had no creative background. This wasn't even a thing in my world, probably your family's world. Like it wasn't even a thought.
But then you realize that getting good at something, be it logical, be it creative, be it mental, it's all kind of the same principles.
Yes.
Keep going. Don't get discouraged. Anything that comes at you, get over it. Uncomfortability is the core of growth. If you're not uncomfortable, you're not growing. So learn to love that feeling of weirdness and not complete chill, right? Because when you're too chill, there's no growth. You're just coasting, right? So that's in learning, that's in medicine, that's in art, that's in YouTube. Everything requires the same principle. So you already did the same thing that's required of you in stand-up. So it's not scary to you. You've been good at two things already. Or like, I'm not saying you're only good at two things, but the idea is like you've excelled enough to a place that you know the principle of how to get better. Right. That's really what scares people, is like, how do I get better? You already know how to get better.
Yeah, no, that's the funny thing. It's like I'm seeing the algorithm. Similar to how in medicine, I was like, oh shit, this is the same training.
Same shit.
Different.
It's same shit. And medicine, interestingly enough, that you're in this thing, because they're both extreme professions. There's no halfway study for medicine. You go in or you're fucking out.
Tell that to my grade.
Bam. Tell that to the guy I just killed. But you know what I'm saying? Like medicine is such a advanced thought profession. It's like it's very high caliber. So is comedy. There's half-assing it. You could be in the game. You could be a doctor, but you'll be the worst motherfucking doctor in the game. You'll be the worst motherfucking comedian.
You know what's funny? It's interesting you bring that up, because I just mentioned this a few episodes ago. But I have a friend in Iowa who's pursuing comedy, but she's in an MD PhD program. So I hate them too.
Fuck you.
They got offered to me, and I'm so glad I skipped out of it.
Fuck you, dude.
And the reason
I'm a major in biochem and a minor in biochem too. Fuck you.
But here's the interesting thing. You would think those guys are like the upper echelon of doctors, right? Funny enough, at least in my personal experience, those MD PhDs compared to regular MDs like me who enter into the foray of actual clinical practice, they suck.
You know what it is, bro? For real talk what it is. The first 18 years of your life, your only metric for how good you were as a human being was memorization. Yeah. How could you memorize this? Do a test, you have an A, you're a good kid now. Yeah. What a stupid idea for how you are as a person. There's so many
so angry looking back.
Memorization was the reason people liked me. An auntie or uncle liked me because I could memorize more. Oh, hey, plus kid, what a boy. Yeah. He's the good boy. What? It's so stupid. So the same thing, these MD PhDs, is like, if you don't have empathy, you're going to be a bad comic, you're going to be a bad doctor. Empathy in anything is the thing that rises you.
Being present, like you said.
Being present. Well, empathy and present, the two sides of the same coin, right? Yeah. You can't be empathic if you're not present.
Well, you can be present in that.
No, for sure. Yeah, total. Like some serial killers know exactly what they're doing, when they're doing it. But the idea is like empathy required, but the prerequisite for empathy is presence. Yeah. So without that, that's the core. Be it comedy, be it a good surgeon. You're a surgeon, right?
No, well, I'm gastroenterologist, so I do procedures, but they're non-invasive.
Oh,
so
shit.
Technically, the technical definitions include surgery, but surgeons don't consider me one of the best.
Oh, shit.
But we work together very closely.
Oh, is that like the classic stereotype of the surgeon douchebag? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm more of a hybrid. I'm like part douchebag, part still regular doctor.
Right. How is that community? Is it like a community of doctors? Do you have like a crew that you like?
It honestly depends on where you're at. So like where I trained in upstate New York, it was pure high school cliques. Like no one talked to each other. Right. Everyone's calling each other stupid. Right. And I'm just like, guys, you're calling them stupid because they decided to choose their 3 years or 5 years to learn that thing, and you chose to do this thing. Why don't we just fucking learn from each other? It takes one meeting for you to be like, listen, don't call after 5 because that's when our shift ends and the next shift starts. Don't call about this simple bullshit because really you just need to know about this and you can handle it yourself. Don't call me unless this happens. Like it would literally take one meeting a year. I don't know. I don't want to.
No, 100%.
But it's just like you said, the empathy thing is like everyone wants to think they're better than everyone else, especially in that world. And actually, this is very similar. I was about to say very similar because if you're nothing but a comic, similar to these doctors I meet who are nothing but doctors, you can't ask them why. You can't ask them a question because they're like, don't you dare challenge me. It's like, dude, you're not God. I know the movie said you were. Like, that's the other beautiful thing about me branching out is like, I'm not tied to that thing. So when someone questions me and I don't know anything, I say, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's the most powerful thing to say, I don't know. I love it. I can't wait to shout out, I don't know.
People don't realize this is, and this is an Eastern shit, the relinquishing of the thing makes you acquire that thing. Not the dogged determination of getting it. Once you release the need, like when you like want to get pussy your whole life, I want to get laid. When you release the need, all of a sudden you're sexy. So if you release the need for the thing, your mind opens, and then you actually achieve that. The probability of you achieving that thing is more. When you're not tied so deep. There's a movie about it's called Some. It's about the documentary about these sommeliers. And they're to be the main godlike sommelier, you got to be accredited by this exam. And this exam is the hardest wine exam of all time. It's literally the hardest thing. So you have to train for years tasting wines.
Don't tell medical students.
Boom, right? I call this training Friday night. So there's 3 characters, right? 2 guys who are kind of chill. They're very good at what they do, but they're kind of like they're nicer. They're kind of like more open, more just like they feel better. One guy is like classic wine is my life. I am Chateau, you know?
Yeah, the employee of the month at the classic restaurant.
Bro, he's crazy, man. Right? His whole life is that. No empathy, pure wine, taste, just pure in it, right? At the end of the movie, he's the only one who doesn't pass the test. Part of it, I'm sure, is
Because it was rigged.
yeah, right. It was black. It was a black dude. But you know what I'm saying? Like
Black guys drink wine.
can I get some wine? What kind? Hennessy? 2019 brand. Harlem.
Is that Cat Williams?
What? Whoop that ass! But that guy, I would assume, part of it was he wasn't open. His mind wasn't open. His brain wasn't open. His heart wasn't open. He was just pure that thing.
Right.
And the other two guys who allowed influences to come into their lives, allowed ideas to flow. You know, they would collaborate a little bit. Those guys won. Those guys got in. They passed the test.
So speaking of which, what do you do outside comedy? Do you have other activities that kind of keep you busy?
Yeah. I read a lot. Huge gamer. So I love those two things. I love. And I love, I tutor math to kids Upper East Side.
Oh, that's right.
That makes the guap.
The bathing kids.
yes. Yeah, so I tutor on the side, Upper East Side. Good money. So I tutor like 1 or 2 hours, and I survive off that. And I just do as much stand-up as humanly possible.
You hear that, kids? Still go to medical school.
Yeah, if you saw this and you thought the idea was to not do med school, fucking no. Look at this and say sorry to your dad. That's what you do.
Yeah, he may be moving in, but his mom just adopted him. Cool. So, you didn't mention how long you've been doing this.
7 years.
7 years.
I was doing it in Dallas for like 2.5. Here I've been doing it for 4.5.
Right.
So
and your podcast is pretty fresh, but I know you've been dabbling in like multiple different ones.
Yeah.
And then you recently is it recently you got passed on this one?
Yeah.
So you're getting passed at the most premier
Yeah.
mecca of comedy spots. So that's got to be kind of cool, right? What was that sensation like? When have you performed there yet?
Yeah, for sure.
How does it feel to A, get passed, and B, do your first set, and C, is that lady that passes you from the crashing show? Is that lady?
That's really. As it is Esty.
Esty.
She's like, it's so crazy. She's awesome. She's like this kind of matriarch. You know, everyone's terrified.
She seems so badass in the
She's
show.
badass,
So
bro. They got her character right. Like, even Sarah Silverman would walk in and she'd be like, "Is Esty here?" You know, like people are scared of her. She's like a real deal.
Sarah Silverman.
Yeah, I got enough recommendation. I did JFL just for laughs, and then after that festival, someone was like,
"Oh yeah, you went to a comedy festival too?"
Yeah. So then this comic was like, "I'm going to recommend you send a tape." I did it. Send the tape, the audition, did well there. She passed me, and then I did my first spot.
And the audition is doing a set. At
It's a 10:30 show, 5-minute set. You go third or fourth, right? That was I had 34 laps around Washington Square Park, dude. I was so terrified. I've never been more scared for a set in my life. Because it's the dream.
Yeah.
It's the dream. But every kid comic's dream is to get there one day, right? And then I did the first set there. That's more scary. Because then you get to 15 minutes. Then it's like the actual big dogs. People see you. Like people will see you walking.
I'm surprised. I would think, especially with what you were just describing at the beginning, with avoiding the peaks and lows. I would think, knowing you and knowing your material and just getting to know you, I would feel like you would approach it like, I got this.
Ideally, right? Ideally. Me and Nico talk about this because Nico also got recently past that. And we're both kind of people who are just like, let's just do the work and whatever happens, happens, right? But it's a seller, right? So it's a whole different level, you know what I'm saying?
Dude,
so
it's the wig.
It's the fucking, it's the shit. It's not D-League anymore, you know? So regardless, the dream takes over.
Yeah.
And once I got in, I kept doing the spots for a couple of months, then I started,
people.
Yeah. Okay. And then one day someone was like, a seller was like, "Yo, you get set of the night." And I was like, "Yo, nice. I'm fucking good. I beat New York comedy. I'm good now." Now it's on the bigger things.
And then you suddenly have an ocean in your panties.
yes. Very sticky ocean.
So yeah, that's super dope.
Just keep moving, man. Honestly, that's the only thing. Just keep moving.
Right. What's next? What's like the next thing?
The next thing is by 29, I want to get an hour of fire. No, I have an hour right now, but it's not an hour that will change the world. I want an hour that will like fuck you up. I want an hour to fuck you. Now hours have no
perfectionist much?
No, for sure. Hours now they don't really do anything for you. I want to fuck you up in an hour.
I would advise you do 4 15-minute.
Oh, for sure. The clip thing, for sure. The idea is the hour of pure fire that I can tool with.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And also get Mango Bay up to, I don't even know how to number, but like 100,000 followers.
Sure.
Subscribers on YouTube.
I see it coming, man. It's a good podcast. You guys should definitely check it out. There's some good topics that a lot of you guys, I'm sure, would like. Even if you're not Indian, which I'm not, and I've learned a lot. Like I should have used the science project excuse.
It's a lot of immigrants can relate to all this. White people will like this is very voyageur type shit. You'll like it. I think it's really good.
And yeah, man, it's been cool to kind of get engrossed in this scene here because you don't know what it is until you do it. Especially someone like me that had no background in it.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine how scary it was for you coming in with no money,
nothing,
no thing to fall back on. So
I was 23 when I came. I had no money. I was I had someone that died quickly. The money was gone so quick, and then I was like stealing food from grocery stores and shit. The whole life, bro. But if I had more time, I'd fucking chill.
Yeah, that's fine, man. We gotta get you out of here.
Yeah.
But yeah, this has been great. Why don't you tell us where we can find you?
Hit me up at Usama bin Laden. I've said this like 9 times. 9 times in this
That's why we got the podcast started late. We have
that's all good. At Usama bin Laden, USAMABINLAUGHIN. Follow me at Your Mango Bay.
And we'll write this on the description.
Follow my book Pranav too, at Pranav Haha. Love that guy.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. You can find them at the Cellar and soon
What's that?
everywhere else.
What's that?
YouTube, you got a few sets, so
check it out.
if you just put in his name, you'll see a few things. Thanks for coming, man, and we'll see you around.
Let's do it.
Peace.
Ow.
Doom.